Good morning from wherever you are watching around the world. We are back here for PSGL PlayStation 4 F3. We're here from the wonderful Qatar circuit, and I'm joined alongside by Logan once again for the second week running, and we are going to one of arguably my favourite circuits, and I hope that we're going to have an amazing race. We've got 19 drivers on the grid, hoping to get the 20th in within the next couple minutes. That's a very much a hopefully. But how are we, Logan?
We're pretty good, but I am sweltering hot. We are in Qatar, after all.
Yeah, I mean, a very hot circuit indeed. I mean, only 9 days of rainfall at a circuit like this over the course of a year. That's a lot less than you might expect if you're in the UK like I am, which is absolutely why I am going nowhere near Qatar anytime soon. But we're here for qualifying, and whilst I sort a few little bits out for the stream, hopefully no one goes out on track too quickly, just so I can update our thumbnail. But I think we're in for an absolutely cracking race here.
Yes, indeed. So, just mention Qatar is a country that only sees 9 days worth of rain in a year. It is the second flattest country in the world. Of course, it hosted the Football World Cup, won by Argentina, with Lionel Messi winning player of the tournament. And Qatar were the worst team overall, and probably the worst team ever to play in the history of the World Cup, scoring no points, losing all 3 of their group games. Oh, and they're also home to oil. Lots and lots of oil.
Yeah, I mean, after all, Formula One is sponsored by Aramco. No surprise that we would love a good old place that has a lot of oil. I presume these cars probably use quite a decent amount of it, and a lot of fossil fuels in the back of their car. I'm sure Sebastian Vettel is not too happy that we went to Qatar the week after going to Japan and visiting the wonderful beehives there. But we are here underway for qualifying, and whilst we have a little, maybe a minute or so, give us a quick overview of what's happened since last race weekend.
Yes, remember Top G, not only is he not here right now because he can't get into the lobby, he was also stripped of his victory because of a collision with Lewis 11004. Sounds like a phone advert. But as you can see, he has lost a win, and Marios has been promoted to the dub and will take the 16 points for the victory. Other than that, it was second place for Top G. Hazara got the third place, Griglick in fourth, Hilu in fifth, Luke Thomason sixth, and he's not here this weekend, by the way. Devon in seventh, Evil eighth, Twist ninth, and Ethan got the last points paying position. No driver got the fastest lap because that was, I believe it was Raphael got the fastest lap, and therefore he receives no points because he finished in 15th position. I do think the standings are wrong. It should order 11th through 15th in the correct order, because tiebreaker on countback is positions. Best position finished in the race, but it's not showing that, and those who didn't finish are not classified along with the DNSs. So, we are on with the first few hot laps, I believe, Byron.
Yes, we absolutely are, and it's GTZ Cortez who's leading us away for the first hot lap. He's already gone through the first sector of this lap, now going through sector number 2, and if you happen to watch PSF4, where I was there on Thursday, you will know that this circuit is one of my absolute favourite circuits on the calendar. I love the fast flowing nature, and I love the commitment you have to hold through the lap at a circuit like this. I don't think Cortez is really going for much of a push lap here. In fact, very much just went. Yeah. I couldn't even tell if that was really much of a push lap that they were even going for there. But I believe now waiting for Lapa YT to set the first lap time. No invalidation up to the line. The first lap time we're going to get is a 1:20.726. That's the first benchmark time for everyone to chase. And I think just going to get a few more
Riley
times across the board
Mackay.
now. Riley McCare. Oh, and immediately being Hazara there. No surprise with a 120.422, and Grigley
Oh,
beats that.
also, I think there's a few more things to mention. Other penalties. If I can find them here.
Yes, we do indeed have a few more penalties for this race, as I somehow accidentally end up loading YouTube shorts. Not quite sure how I managed that. But yeah, we definitely got a few more penalties to talk about. I believe there's a few qualifying bans for a
Hold on.
couple of drivers.
Why has Cortez got a qualifying ban? I don't remember him having that. No, he doesn't have a qualifying ban. I think it's Leonardo. Leonardo has a qualifying ban, not Cortez.
Yes, it
Cortez, I
is.
think,
Yeah,
is a
it's
reserve.
Leonardo. Yeah, no, it's Leonardo.
Got the two mixed up on our notes.
Leonardo and Indy Reboots both have qualifying bans for this weekend. I believe are both of them.
Leonardo's not here,
Leonardo's not here.
but he will have to serve at the next event he participates. And Indy is in the pits. I don't know why he's not retiring, because that's what you're supposed to do when you get a qualifying ban. You're supposed to retire on track. By the way, breaking news, Top G is in the session. He's on track. And the second place driver in the championship going off the track. That's not a good start. And wearing the number 69 in a Ferrari. Nice. Double nice for being a Ferrari. Coming around the final corner, getting his lap started and getting a DRS full blast down the little long straight. And through across the timing beam. Now that's been moved, and there he goes. He's retired now. And into turn one goes Top G. A medium braking point, and then a little more braking into turn number two. Then the kink, that is turn number three, before the two right angles of 4 and 5. Little brake applied, and he's validated.
That's going to
We'll
be
go on
the
board
story.
with Twist. Yeah.
On board with Twist. Absolutely. Let's go on board with Twist now. Take it away.
Go into turn 5. Hopefully he doesn't invalidate, and he doesn't. Hairpin now, probably one of the slowest tracks on the calendar. Slowest corner on the track. And he's through that, and now onto the other hairpin with a much larger radius. Then this interesting corner, this right-hander here, turn 8, and then it's to turn 11 before a little run up to this Istanbul-esque corner, 12, 13. Oh, he's invalidated again. Story of our lives, people. Story of our lives.
Yeah, it's very much going to be a case of who can keep it within, but Cortez back on the track now. Hopefully, unlike last time, Cortez will be able to keep it on track. And I've just seen the tweet from PSGL, and we are actually live. So at long last, people can actually tell we're here. But Cortez is about to begin in a couple moments' time, but I believe also we have Mohammed.
Not doing that, Cortez. Yes, Mohammed, who's I believe is hosting this session.
The session is being hosted by Spicer.
Oh right, oops. Well, he was announcing that we were getting started soon. But anyway, Cortez is about to begin his lap on the old Qatar circuit. I say that because that's not where the timing beam is, and the pits start from just after the final corner now. Even though it did before the F1 came here in 2021, but that was for safety reasons. This is a much improved pit lane they're using now. But they've changed it again because they renovated the track in between the two races F1 had. Of course, they had a break in 22 for the World Cup, and it was initially just a replacement for one of the races. I think it was that was one of the races on the calendar, or just to fill up the calendar because of the pandemic, of course. I think it was Singapore. Singapore, and It was pretty good, actually. Okay, it wasn't the best race, but the fast-flowing nature made qualifying really fun. And Alonso got a podium for the first time back. Meanwhile, in the virtual world, Cortez coming around turn 14, now turn 15, just goes almost full throttle through there before the braking zone. That is turn 16. McLaren driver in a number 3. So Daniel Ricciardo jumped ship again. Anyway, to the line goes Cortez. He sets a valid lap at 5th place on the leaderboard. Still only half the drivers get to set a time.
Yeah, I mean, Mohammed now beginning a hot lap, obviously, as one of the tier coordinators. It's been a pretty hectic start to the evening trying to get this lobby set up, but what kind of benchmark can Mohammed set as first lap time in the AlphaTauri car? The number 15 there being proudly displayed there on the side. And as Mohammed now comes through up to the Sector 2 line, the Alfa Romeo nice and out of the way there. Through the Sector 2 timing at 53.215 up to this point in the lap. Through my favourite corners of this circuit. Absolutely got to stay committed through all of those. This very fast left-hander. Oh, and the rear goes very nearly there on Mohammed. Very well kept together. Very nearly could have gone round there, but just about managing to keep that car on the black stuff. And up to the line now we go. DRS wide open as always on that AlphaTauri car. Up to the line, and it is only 11th there for Mohammed. I'm trying to look, see who could be setting a good lap. Is Top G on a lap? Top G's just begun a lap. And I mean, Top G...
Into the line.
Yeah.
Was second by 12 thousandths.
What a lap there. That's a very good lap from Ethan to get very close to provisional pole position. Obviously, Marius currently holding that position with 6.5 minutes on the clock roughly. Top G now coming through up to the sector number 2 line. I do wonder if Top G's in the hunt again. Top G was obviously very strong. Mercedes already out of the way very nicely. What do you think? Does Top G have a good chance?
Well, you never know. If he got the win last week, he's going to try and replicate that with a fantastic lap here, as you can see, coming to the final corner now, and we got a yellow flag. Please ignore it. It's usually drivers slowing down to let other drivers on a hot lap through. Top G coming to the line. The second place driver in the championship goes only 12th, a disappointing time. Nearly half a second off the pace of the championship leader, Marios. That is not what you want after just this session, as Riley Mackay goes 5th, 86 pounds of it's down. Scratch that! Emerson Pilar goes top!
Yeah, I mean, benchmark time there, very much. That's going to be a hard time to beat. That could definitely secure you a top 5 finish, just holding that time. That's a very good time there to be set with 5.5 minutes to go. I'm noticing a few drivers going off of the track to let other drivers through. They've got to be careful with that though. You're not actually supposed to do that. It's actually supposed to get you a penalty, so you don't want to be doing that and get in someone's way in the process. But OP Twist up to the line in the Aston Martin, not set a time yet. Where's it going to go? Up to 11th. It's looking even worse for Top G with that benchmark lap time, just not really getting anything of use. But Hazara now beginning another hot lap. I believe ET8 Evil is also on a hot lap as things stand. I believe that is going to be the next driver to cross the line now. Will be ET8 Evil.
Oh, well, yeah.
I was going to say,
he's going slow though. I think he's done his lap and he's going slow. I think they're all done their laps except
Hazara.
Pardon me, excuse me, Hazara, yes. Hazara had an unlucky end to his qualifying session, resulted in Indy getting a quali ban tonight. He was crashed into, and Hazara was actually provisional pole at that point. So that probably wrecked his chance of getting pole. He nearly goes off the circuit completely, keeps 2 wheels on that white line, which means he is still in bounds and in play. Coming around to 12 through 14, he's got the purple sector too. I'm not sure if that's accurate, because sometimes there's a bug about that. It doesn't apply to just only your time, so hopefully that is the absolute best sector. Coming around a final corner, will he get any further than 5th? It looks promising. It looks pretty good to me, I tell you. So good, it's 1/10 ahead of Imsipal. He goes, not just the top, he goes over the top. And Hazara showing why he is the one to beat in qualifying. 3 minutes and 18 seconds go, but there is a catch. I don't think he's going to have enough time to set another lap.
No, I don't think so. You've got to be very quick on that in lap if you want any chance of getting in and getting another set of tyres. Already drivers are beginning to come out for their final hot laps, so it's not going to be looking all too promising to get another lap time on the board if you are Hazara, but a very good lap time, likely to hold up quite well. Looking at the chat, oh god, as I decide to die for no reason whatsoever. You've got Renz Thomason, Yannick for the win. And then you've also got someone wanting Marius as well for the win. So definitely a few people supporting others in the chat. And definitely I think both of those might have a fairly good chance at this race, definitely.
Almost everyone is out.
Yeah.
Except Indy, who's retired because he's got a quali ban, of course. So it's all hell breaking loose. Hazara will not be able to set another time. He is completely out of fuel. And well, actually, hold on, he's got 2 minutes. But if he has any chance, has to get him like a minute and a half left. I don't think he's going to make it. I think he might retire once he gets in, and the pit lane's so far away. So. I don't think he can set another lap. They're going to have to take like 20 seconds to set him up, so it will be the end of Hazara's session there. But for the others, it's all systems go. And Raphael is the first to set a lap. He's going to be our guinea pig, although really that was Hazara. But for this group of drivers, yes, coming around turns 4 and 5. Donning the number 15, a number that has never been used since the new F1 numbering system began in 2014. The lowest number, the number 15, has never been used in Formula 1 since the introduction of personal numbers in 2014. Good pub quiz question, that.
I'll definitely take that one to a pub. But, yeah, Raphael not looking half bad. This is one of the drivers under the most pressure as well. Allegedly a purple sector 2 there. How much truth there is to that? You got to think Raphael, Evil, and Spicer are the drivers under the most pressure here. They have to set a good lap time now. And the traffic that Raphael is finding at these final few corners is not going to necessarily be helping. Might just pose a little bit of a distraction like it does in real life Formula 1. Up to the line though for Raphael. It is a lap that was very much needed. Where is it going to be? It's 7th, not bad. That's not a bad lap time at all there. If you are Raphael, given you've not set a lap time the entire time through this session, who's going to be next across the line? It looks like it's going to be the Ferrari. Is that Yannick? Yannick across the line.
No improvement, only through his own time.
Yeah, small improvement, but it's an improvement nonetheless.
Twist has had a crash. That's at turn 4, so he won't be any higher than 13th. I just caught it as I was trying to scroll through, finding Spicer, who's yet to get on the board. And it is a great time. Third, after all that struggling.
Yeah.
Spicer. No, Marius is at the top. And now Hazaro will be thinking, should I have went out earlier? I shouldn't have at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now looking to see Imsipal, see if Imsipal can get back up to the top. Just over 2 tenths to find if you're Imsipal in this, as we go across the line with Imsipal. Yeah, quite a mark. No, just over 2, but Up to the line now for M. Sapala. Is it going to be... Not even an improvement for M. Sapala. As we go round now, the final few drivers getting up. Fuselo down in 17th now, about to come across the line. Apparently 2 tenths improved across that lap isn't an improvement. It is up to 9th there, and I believe that was that was Ethan there, up to 5th across the line. I believe the only driver out on track is Yannick, and that is someone coming into the pit lane.
That is it. Marius is pole.
Yeah, I mean, a beautiful lap there from Marius to take pole position there with a 1:20.046 to take pole position here at Qatar. P1, followed by Hazara on the front row with M. Sapala setting a very good time. But you have to wonder, should Hazara have come out a bit later? Would it have worked to the benefit of Hazara, or was that the best time to set a lap time? Would they have invalidated later on in that session? We will never know, but definitely a very interesting grid for this race. Drivers who maybe shouldn't be that low down, such as Top GF1, a disappointing 19th for the Ferrari. What do we think we can expect for this race?
A lot of action, that's all, but it is Marius going to be on pole. Hazara's right beside him though, so it might be quite interesting. So M. Sapala is going to try and be more cautious next time, probably, because remember last time he went out on the first lap after an incident up the, I think it was the Dunlop curve. Spies out with a surprise 4th at the end after struggling throughout the entire session, even into 5th. And that's your top 5. That's got Justin, Griglich, Mohammed, Fuzio, Riley, Raphael, LRB, Shikilu. Remind me how to pronounce that name, please, everyone. Larper, Yannick, Cortez, Twist, Evil, Top G, shockingly, down in 19th. Worst of those who are in the session, and Indy, of course, who has a barred from qualifying, so he'll have to start from the back. But we're nice here, we're not going to make him start from the pit lane. Well, actually, it's not because we're nice, but because we have no other choice, because you can't start in the pit lane in this game. No grid penalties, thankfully, thank goodness. We get away with one scot-free.
Yeah, absolutely no need for a lobby restart or any more technical issues that we've already had for the race. But in just a few moments' time, we are going to be underway for lights out here at the Qatar circuit. But before we get under that, we do just want to extend, as always, a massive thank you to our sponsor, GT Omega, who, without them, none of this would be possible. They provide some of the absolute best equipment in the world for sim racers who want to compete at the best, and most of our drivers use their products to excel at the very top. As always, there is a 5% discount code in our bio. If you use code PSGL at checkout, you'll get 5% across the entire store. That is our cheeky little bit of promo for our wonderful sponsor, GT Omega, done. But in just a few moments' time, we are going to be underway for lights out here at Qatar. This is going to be a race of attrition. I can almost see it happening. We've seen in real life F1, contact happens, it can happen, and when it does happen, it can be quite dramatic. What are your expectations for this race?
Well, it's going to be full of fast-flowing action, I can promise you that, because there is very few slow corners on this track. I should also mention, I am seeing Williams Golf branding on their pit straight, but I don't know why it's not being shown on the car, because it's just the normal Williams livery. I think you should be allowed to choose what livery you're using. I want to use that white Red Bull livery they had for Turkey one year. But no, can't do that. But yes, should be expecting plenty of action, maybe plenty of moves where you wouldn't normally make moves. We've seen a lot of that, but be careful through turns 12 through 14. They can be quite the little devil if you're just 1 centimetre off the racing line. It can prove to be a fatal error, as we have seen in a couple of races where you've spun out or collided with another driver. We are doing 29 laps of this 3 and a bit miles circuit, 3.343 miles, 5.38 kilometres, and the race will go on for basically just under 97 miles, 156 kilometres.
Yeah, so waiting for The drivers, they're trying to figure out quite what's happening. I don't think everyone's readied up. Trying to figure out quite what's going on. If we need to count back on qualifying results and have a cheeky restart, then we can absolutely do that. But, oh, here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it is lights out, and away we go here in Qatar. It looks like it's been quite a good start for Hazara. I thought he got a better start than Marios, but not quite in the second phase, getting a better start there, but looking potentially at an overtake down the inside. M. Sapala, though, was looking quite close. There's a Red Bull of NR Justin, who's lost a couple of places there, battling there with Fuselo. Top G battling there with Evil in the background there, already gaining 2 places there. Top G, I believe that was ETA Evil who's gone around there already within the first sector of the lap. There's a bit of contact there between the McLaren of Cortez and Top GF1. That brings out a virtual safety car and a little bit of neutralization there. But I just about caught that bit of contact between Cortez and Top G on stream. It was such a light bit of contact between those two drivers, actually. And I almost think these drivers got a little bit thrown off with how quickly this race started. They were all typing in the Discord server, and all of a sudden, the start lights went. And I don't think they were prepared for that, because all of a sudden, everyone was like, oh wait, there's a race I got to get on with. But yeah, Evil there going around. I believe they've got no front wing. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to see. Sorry, Byron. I'm trying to see, but they're stuck on the stupid camera angles. Come on. We should be able to choose our own camera angles in this. Not the same free all the time. Yeah. Evil's got no front wing. Either that or it's completely shrunk.
And for those of you interested in the start tyres, only Top G starting on the medium compound of tyres. So that is all we have there. But looking at that, Evil and Cortez into the pit lane. We're back on the green flag running now. Top G alongside and overtaking Indira Boots there. You got those medium tyres on that Ferrari. You should be expecting to gain some places and positions there. Cortez retiring in the pit lane. Must be some sort of issue there. That seems very early on in the race to be throwing hands and giving up in the race, but Cortez clearly thinking there's nothing worth doing in this race. But lap number 2 of 29 here. We've already had a virtual safety car after some contact between Cortez and Top GF1 on the opening lap. But Evil obviously getting the brunt of it, going around within that first sector, getting a full front wing of damage, but not retiring. So Evil clearly thinking there's something to gain in this race. It could be a race of attrition, could be a chance of points with a safety car later.
Griglick is right behind Spicer for 5th place. This is the battle for 5th place. Coming around 12 through 14 in unison are the cars, except for Evil, who is long ways behind after losing his wing and having a long pit stop. Even with the virtual safety car, it stopped just as soon as he entered the pit lane, so it was no help to him at all. Griglick has a shot at 5th place, and we're going to get the DRS on this lap, not this one, and he gets a burst of speed, and he's going to go for the move in the corner, and Spicer showing respect there, keeping him some room. Side by side into turn number 2, and he strikes back, and he does get ahead, but Griglick may have a chance to switch back here, but he's not going to get it. Nice defense from Spicer, staying ahead of the game, and now Mohammed is coming up behind them.
Yeah, I mean, this certainly has been a good start for some drivers. I noticed that Top G currently having the fastest lap you'd expect so on those medium tyres, but he's already caught up. He was a few seconds behind when the safety car, virtual safety car restart got underway, but has caught up very quickly to the back of the hard tyre runners. Should be starting to make overtakes soon, so he's definitely a driver to watch, but definitely quite a large disadvantage in terms of potential strategy. I think potentially for Top G, you've not got the option of going to the softs or mediums. He's got to go to the hards, really, I think, if you're Top G in this race. But who knows what strategy anyone's pulling at this stage in the race, who's conserving, who's going flat out. Well, I can tell you someone who might be going flat out is definitely going to be Marios, because he's nearly a second ahead of Hazara and setting another fastest lap there just to prove that the pace is there.
Got a move going on here for 12th, not happening. LARPer and LRB having a brief battle, but no moves being made there. The positions stay the same. Look at this! That is Top G having a fancy up for 15th for LRB. He's already made up 3 positions.
And he got past his teammate on the straight as well.
Oh, he did? Yes, he did. I think that was a tactical move there from
Yannick. Oh, and down the inside! Wow, what an overtake that would be. Can he get it off on the exit? Not quite a bit of contact there between the two. LRB and Top G side by side through this sequence of corners. This is a very risky few corners to go side by side. And a rear snap there for Top G. Don't want to be doing that. That's how you lost the race last weekend. You lost that by a little dive and a bit of contact. Don't do that again, Top G. You don't want to lose another race win in the exact same manner you did just a week ago. That would be absolutely heartbreaking for Top G if that was to happen. But a very good overtake there. A little bit of contact, but nothing really too extreme by either driver. Both just racing fair, racing hard, and that was a brilliant move there. I do wonder what he can go forward and do in this race beyond this. But I have noticed that Hazara has caught right up to Marios.
Oh yes, he has, and he's going for it here, it seems. No, he's not. He was just right behind there. I'm also on board with Twist and Shihilu. Shihilu and Twist were having a brief battle. There was just 1 tenth separating them, but now Twist has caught up to Raphael in the Alpine, who is on the fringe of the top 10, and Shihilu actually gets onto the naughty step. 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Remember, it is 3 strikes and you're out. 3-second time penalty. Whoa, what's happened there? That's Griglick. Griglick has had a spin-off at turn number 6, and I think it's caught some of the drivers. Mohamed's off as well. I don't know what has happened to him, but they are both going to fall right down the order as a result of their mishaps.
Yeah, no, I'm just having a little look at my second screen there to try and see if I can figure out what happened between the two of them. Griglick and Mohamed, they were battling quite closely. I could only presume that Griglick had a small little incident, and yeah, Griglick had an incident. I think Mohamed had to slow for it and got maybe an illegal overtake, potentially. I'm not quite sure.
What's going on here? Sorry to cut you off, but Top G battling Twist. I don't know what happened there, but he dived in the last corner, and now Hazara's challenging for the lead. Hazara can't get the lead, and now M. Sapala is joining the fray. But that was insane by Top G. How did he get that? LARPer tries to fight back, but won't get it, and LRB is now falling down to 13th. Mohamed and Twist are making their pit stops.
Is that for changing from wing?
I think so.
Definitely in the case of Mohamed. I'm not quite sure. Twist, no, me neither, but okay, it's all heightening up here quite early on in the race here at Qatar. We're only on lap number 6 of 29, and we've already had drama. You've got Mohamed and OP Twist both having fallen susceptible, I believe. From what we can tell, it was Twist who had a little bit of a spin, or I know Griglick, sorry, who had a bit of a spin, and Mohamed got caught up in potentially got hit with an illegal overtake or some sort of game thing that caused him to slow down, because it doesn't look like there was any real issue, but both drivers, having come into the pit lane, changed tyres and decided it was better to just keep to get that clean air. But I'm noticing M. Sapala is very close to the back of Hazara down this straight. This could be potentially a 3 wide moment. No, not quite. Doesn't look like the Hazara's quite got the pace. But actually, I've said that as Hazara took a little look to the inside, thought about a move on the inside, but nothing quite worth doing on lap number 7 of this race. Nothing really worth risking just yet. We're not really in this last stint where it's all or nothing just yet, but Hazara is certainly thinking and eyeing up a potential move for the race lead, but I think M. Sapala is in a great place. No, the progress of Top G is definitely halted with a 3-second time penalty onto the naughty step for Top G. I do wonder if there's something going on, because the pace seems to have dropped off a little bit.
The mediums. And he's on mediums, so his tyres going to wear it even faster than the other drivers. So that is the biggest con about having these faster, grippier tyres. They wear out more, and he's going to have to pit much, much earlier, and his work will probably be undone, whereas everyone else is going to be pitting later. It does sound very interesting. I think he's hoping at worst, like a safety car, perhaps, and that could help him. But it isn't helping right now, and he's got a 3-second time penalty, which can't be removed, by the way. It's only the 5 and 10-second ones. Speaking of one, Justin also getting a penalty. The 5th and 6th are pretty much split up now because of probably the incident that occurred to Griglick. As Hazara, his teammate, is going for the lead again, but he can't get it. It seems to be quite the Achilles heel for the Hazara today. Hazara in the Haas. They sound very similar, don't they? Yes, he still can't get past Marios. Marios trying to make it 2 for 2 this season already and try and extend his lead mammothly.
Yeah, that would be a brilliant result for Hazara if he could get the race lead, but obviously Marios does want to try and extend this championship lead. If you were watching PCF4 where I was, you will have noticed that the championship leader has a 15-point lead at the end of the second round. It is a monumental advantage that I saw. I was trying to figure out quite how that was mathematically possible, but somehow it happened.
Sorry, Raphael had a massive slide out of turn 11, or is it turn 10? I can't quite remember. I'm trying to check my notes here. It was turn 10 and nearly lost it, but it's held on. But as a consequence, Shahila now hustling for 9th place. Right behind him as they come around the final corner, where we need to cut away because we've got a battle for 4th place going on here.
We do indeed. Spicer now up to 4th place ahead of the Aston Martin car, as behind you get Fusilo, who overtakes NLR Justin. It could be double trouble for NLR Justin because it looks like Riley McKay was nearly overtaking him, but Riley McKay got a rear snap there through into turn number 2, which just halted any potential overtake. We're still very close here for Riley McKay. Maybe thought about a little dive. I've noticed that Top G's pace has increased once again and has caught up to Kahito.
Yeah, Justin was all over the place in those couple of corners. I don't know what happened. If it probably that slide out of that battling out of turn 1 probably just mesmerised him and just couldn't recover from that. Thankfully, he's still in this race in the middle between Fazio and Riley Mackay. Meanwhile, at the front, the gap's been cut down to 4 tenths, but the gap between 2nd and 3rd is now 8 tenths. But scratch that, it's 3 tenths now. Hazara is probably using a lot of... He's got a full battery, by the way. I don't know what's going on, where he's found his pace. He probably has a massive pace advantage in these faster corners. And now he'll have an opportunity to take the lead off Marios for the first time tonight. But he has a mistake out of that final corner, so it might not be any help as he starts to trundle down the front stretch. I don't think he's going to be close enough, Byron.
No, he's not going to be quite close enough. I don't think if he hadn't have had that little mistake, I think he would have been there. But I'm noticing the rear end looked like it was stepping out ever so slightly as he went through turn number 1 as well, or at least it was just sliding a little bit. So maybe he's got the pace, yes, but maybe his tyres are now actually a little bit too hot because he's behind Marios. I'm wondering if maybe that's the case, and maybe that's why we're seeing a few little unforced errors coming through with the rear end snapping and, you know, just a little bit of the car being unresponsive for some of these drivers. I have, however, noticed, though, that this train, we're about 2.4 seconds off from 6th down, has caught up ever so slightly with about a second over the last 2 laps. So it won't be long until we're back to we'll be up to a 14-car DRS train if Fusilo manages to pull the entire train up, and then pretty much any one of those 14 cars could win this race, pretty much.
I mean, it usually all kicks off in PCF1, but there's no PCF1 this year because everyone's practicing for esports, I believe.
Yeah, well, we'll bring the action instead, don't you worry. Because Ethan is looking fairly close to the back of Spicer, Spicer did manage to get past, obviously, a few laps ago, but not really been able to make much of it since. But Hazara, again, close to the Alfa Romeo, but not quite close enough. And I almost wonder if Hazara is biding his time, trying to think about the optimal place, and knowing that when I do this overtake, I've got to try and extend the gap. I've got to try and push forward and take a solid advantage here.
Meanwhile, Hazard's teammate Griglick is fighting Indy Rubseg for 15th position. Wrong sport, Logan. Wrong universe. As speaking of Indy, he gets a 3-second time penalty. So Griglick now is going to take advantage of that, it seems, but he wants to get past him first. That would be nice. As Indy just stretching the limits to the edge of the track so that he can get as much speed out as possible. But he's still trending ahead. Griglick getting a little impatient now, it seems. Back to the front though. The drivers are separating 4 tenths from each of the top 3. So you never know what can happen once we come to the front stretch once again. Around the last corner we come, and Hazara will have half a second gap between him and Marios. He's not using his energy, and I think he's saving it up. He's just trying to trundle a little closer to the driver. In fact, he's slow. He purposely slowed it down a bit there. He stopped accelerating. I think this is a strategic move from Hazara. Try and maybe intimidate Marius a bit, say, I'm coming behind you. But it is seeming to work out for him because they're close knit together, but they've got to be careful not to do it too much because the likes of Spicer, Ethan and Justin are all starting to close up now.
Yeah, and looking at, funnily enough, Justin, I was just looking at between him and Fuselo, and they actually seem to be working together. They're both overtaking each other, but pulling each other along in the hopes that they catch up to this train, and they've been doing it for the past 5 laps. And it has worked for them because they are very nearly up to the back of Ethan. So these drivers have clearly thought, well, probably Fuselo and Justin have both looked at this and gone, we can get back up to the top guys, but we've got to play it strategically, and that's exactly what they've done. And it looks like as we're coming on to lap number 13, probably by the end of lap 13, we might actually have a 14 car DRS train.
The Pala's closer to Hazara than Hazara is to Marios, and we could be seeing a move here, but as you can see, Hazara is starting to close up as Marios has no DRS. So, and Top G got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This is just getting worse for Top G. He now has 8 seconds in penalties as he goes right into Indy. So that's quite interesting. I don't think the pits are supposed to be like that, but there you go. But the drivers are starting to get even closer now. Hazara now back to being as double as close to Marios is than he is to Imsipala. And Spicer closing up as well, with Ethan in the background. So this might go on for the entirety of this race, but remember, you've got pit stops. That could change everything. We could be seeing undercuts, overcuts. We could see a safety car bringing Justin back into the fray. We could see some interesting strategies being pulled off here. Just checking who has stopped. It is everyone in the top 13 that's yet to stop. The rest have. So that is why LRB and Top G are like 20 seconds behind the Haas of Griglick. There you go. I've got it on the position screen. Whoa, what? Spicer? No, it's not Spicer. It is. I don't know what's going on there, but it's Justin. It's Justin. He was going well wide as he tried to pit. But nevertheless, he's in the pits now. I thought it was Spicer for some reason, but no, it's not. As the top 5 cars separated by about 20 meters here, Byron.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have been closing up to each other, and I think Hazara is now, well, he's got the battery fully charged. We're on 98% battery if you're Hazara right now. And surely you've got to be thinking about a potential overtake soon when you look at, well, I mean, Marios has actually got a very well charged battery too. So, you know, it's not like Hazara is really necessarily in a deficit right now. But you've got to think, the moment you get close, the car in front of you is going to use their DRS and use their ERS. Sorry, ERS, not DRS. Yeah, Marios is essentially going to do whatever Hazara does to keep the position. It's what happens in F1 esports, and it's what's probably going to happen here. But Ethan, I think, is trying to put a different mentality forward here of, I'm here, I'm going to try and make it overtake now. I don't really mind how much battery I've got. I mean, Ethan's got about 40% battery. He's the top 5. The entire top 5 come in at the same time. Come on, someone have a bit of fun. Any speeding penalties?
No.
No speeding penalties, which I kind of expected 1 or 2. Can't lie. But they've all managed to keep it very nice there. Who comes out at the top, though? They should come out as they were.
Shuffling. It looks like Imstapala is fallen 2 spots.
Yeah.
He's fallen 2 spots as they come back out. And in fact, they're going to be in the mix with all the other drivers up pit. Justin has jumped Spicer, but he's got a penalty. Imstapala has fallen behind Top G, LRB.
Top G, another penalty.
Top G, another penalty for Top G. What is going on with Top G today? As there's an incident in the 3rd sector, that is, I believe, Evil. Yes, Evil is gone right behind. So it's Rizzo in the provisional lead for now, but the net leader is still Marios by 1 second. That pit stop must have done some wonders for him. He's now 1 second ahead. And Hazara needs to catch up ASAP. He's got a full deploy of battery, I think. Yeah, full deploy of battery. Better use it now if he wants DRS on the next straight. Because there's only one DRS on here, and that is the straight. But yeah, that has mixed up everything, that pit stops. It seems like Imstapala suffered in them pit stops, and now he's behind 2 cars that actually 5 cars he shouldn't be behind. He shouldn't be behind Justin. He shouldn't be behind Spicer. He shouldn't be behind Ethan. He shouldn't be behind LRB, and he definitely shouldn't be behind Top G.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the big loser from this pit lane scenario. They all came in behind each other, and one driver I thought was going to lose out. Surely someone lost a place or 2, and, well, that was very much Imstapala. As Top G gets overtaken.
Sorry, you want me to say I'm guessing. Yes, the Pala is just Top G. And now yellow flag. Evo's had another incident, it seems, as Twist goes on to the penalty box. I think Evo is probably going to give up the ghost here. It's not a good sign. He's actually crashed into the pit lane. You don't want to do that. That shouldn't actually be there. They changed it for the 2022 race. And 5-second penalty feeding the pit lane, no effort to slow down, is an imminent sign he's retired, and he has. End of the road for Evo here in Qatar. Next plane back home, I mean, Qatar does sponsor us. As Q and LARPA, I'll sponsor the game, Q and LARPA come into the pits for a change of tyres.
Yep. Well, I mean, they were obviously going to have to come in at some point. They hadn't pit yet in this race, and they do so on lap number 15 of 29. I think it's going to be a case of where do they come out in this race. They were kind of on the fringes of the points, potentially looking at some points. I believe Kahilu has actually managed to get past Lapa, I believe, under the pit lane. It's just about how close you can keep to the car in front. The closer you keep, the more likely you are that the game lets you go through. It's just kind of the rub of the green, but they come out 13th and 14th. I suppose they do have fresher tyres that they can push a little bit more towards the end of the race. But I mean, Marios out in the lead by now 1.5 seconds.
1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just rooting for a safety car here. Secretly rooting for a safety car, Brian.
Oh, for sure. Most likely, but I'm not quite sure it's really going to happen for him because everyone's been pretty clean. We've had our incidents, but they were quite early on in the race, so I'm not really expecting much more drama to unfold here, but who knows? It could always change. It could always happen. But
well, he's staying out again.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, now we look towards lap number 18. Fusilo still the race leader. Still yet to pit though. Hazara though 1.5 seconds behind Marios. Really got to close this gap. I think if you're Hazara, you know, just in behind half a second. That was Riley McKay getting past LRB. Top G has got past Kilu, and Raphael has also got past LRB there. So I think Riley McKay saw an opportunity there because LRB didn't have DRS off this train that leads up to Hazara. So getting into this train now for Riley McKay would be very good. Helps consolidate the 2 positions that he has gained in the last couple of laps there. Now up into PA. With 1 driver yet to pit, you're looking at 7th there for Riley McKay as it stands, which would be 3 points. It would be a great outing for Alfa Romeo's Amstapala. Unfortunately, gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, which definitely is going to hurt Amstapala, especially with it being as close at the top as it stands as Fusilo comes into the pit lane.
So we finally Fusilo has come in, and Marios will now take the outright lead back from where he wants it, and is on his way to a 2nd consecutive victory if he can keep this gap up, because it doesn't seem very assailable right now. Hazara seems helpless at this rate. Meanwhile, Ethan, right on the back. Alright. Fusio coming out behind the battle of Griglick and Indy, who gets into 13th. 15th for Fusio. And Twist has retired from the session as well. He's had a couple of penalties, to be fair. So we're down to 17 in this race. And Yannick trying to get past for 15th. But the lead is starting to come down. It's 1.4 now.
Yep. One thing that I think is very important to note is we have a gamble. We have 2 gambles. You have Top G on the hard tyres going to the end of the race, hoping those medium tyres die off towards the end. We have another gamble. We have Fusilo, who came in for a set of soft tyres to the end of the race.
Oh, interesting.
So we've got 2 very different gambles to keep our eyes on, 2 very different gambles to sink our teeth into, but as we move on, well, we're moving towards lap number 20 in this race. Hazara, yes, he's still closing, but I do wonder if potentially this is linked to battery usage, and both drivers have used a little bit more of their battery, but nearly, very, very nearly, if you're Hazara, you can very nearly rejoice because you're very nearly back in the fight as Top G. When it rains, it really pours for Top G.
No! Mario's got a penalty!
Oh, this is... Okay, this changes the dynamic a lot. Marios with a 3-second time penalty. LR Justin with a 3-second time penalty. Spicer doesn't have a penalty. Amstapala does have a penalty. You've got 3 in the top 5, all with a 3-second time penalty going to be added to the end of their race. You either have to extend a 3-second gap, or you lose places to those behind. And with it as close to the top as it currently is, you're really going to be hoping, if you're Marios, that you can extend the gap, or at least limit some of this damage by trying to open up a slightly bigger gap than you've got. But Hazara getting into that DRS range now. I was going to touch on, just before we saw that Marios had acquired himself a penalty, Top G has just had some sort of incident, but he actually also got another time penalty, another 3-second time penalty in this race. I would almost be
14 seconds.
I would almost be suspecting, based on the way he's moving his car around the track, he's going to peel into the pit lane and retire. Unfortunately.
It's 1 week after he loses the win, once again, it's disappointing for Top G. He's going to be retiring from the race, and there it is. He has waved the white flag, not sponsored by Credit One Bank, and he is out of action here at the Losail International Circuit, just outside where the World Cup final was held about 10 months ago, where Lionel Messi finally completed his trophy cabinet. But Hazara now not only has got an outright lead over him, consisting he doesn't have a penalty, but he is now closing within 8 tenths again. That gap is starting to be eradicated bit by bit. It is looking good for Hazara.
Yeah, I mean, Hazara has been closing, and he's not taken Spicer with him, which is very interesting. You would have thought with the train that was behind him that he would have pulled them along with, but he's not really pulled those two behind. He's actually managed to kind of keep this as a battle of two for the win on track, and not taking Spicer with. But we'll see how that pans out, because obviously Justin and Spicer, they're both at the same team. They're probably communicating with one another, you would suspect, based on the fact they're at the same team. They might be working together to try and get the best out of this race, and that might be involved pulling each other along to try and gain. But M. Sapala gets the pair of them on, one lap fresher tyres in the case of Justin. So M. Sapala up to third on the road, and already making small inroads on Hazara as we go through lap number 22 of 29. Here, I'm looking for any more battles that look particularly interesting. The battle for the lead is hotting up a little bit. So the gap continues to come down, but other than Spicer on the back of Justin, there's not all too much to talk about as of right now until we get back to that main straight.
So Hazara starting to close up once again, and Zapala's got another penalty! Another penalty! That is catastrophic for him, and that means he might fall even further down the order once we get to the finish line for the final time. Spicer starting to close up on his teammate. What would you do here? Would you just let your teammate through? Larper's got a penalty as well, and that's in 10th place. You don't want it there. So it's all kicking off now. It's down to who's going to keep it clean from here on, and it looks like Hazara is the golden boy right now, because he is scot-free, and Mario's up ahead. He's got no DRS, a penalty, and pretty much nowhere to go, and you can see he doesn't need to make the move, does Hazara, unless he gets a penalty. He doesn't need to make a move. So he's just got to keep it together, stay behind him, and Bob's your uncle. You have a W under your hand, and is that Yannick making a move for 14th? Is. So he's up a position there, and trying to capitalize where his teammate had faltered, and now, yeah, Indy's trying to strike back.
Will Indy quite manage to? Not really looking like anything's going to really come of that. Lapa was very close to the back of Kahilu for a couple seconds, and I thought there was going to be an overtake for 9th place as opposed to 10th. Now these three drivers here, LRB, Lapa and Kahilu, if they all get involved in that kind of same battle, they're going to be battling very hard, these three. So I would expect potentially some sort of incident to maybe come off this battle, actually, because this could be the battle for the last point. For those who have penalties, M. Sapala gets another 3-second time penalty. That now puts M. Sapala, I believe, on 12 seconds of penalties, no? 9, sorry. So 9 seconds of penalties there for M. Sapala, 3 seconds to everyone else who's got penalties. That's Marios, Justin, that is Kahilu, Lapa, LRB, and Indy Reboots. As Lapa overtakes Kahilu for 9th place on the road, and with 3 second time penalties coming out towards the end. This is very important for these guys battling here, because that is the battle for the fringes of those points here in this race. But I mean, we've not got long left to go, just 5 laps, but Hazara still close. I'm sure Hazara would love to get this race win on the track, though, so I would expect some sort of overtake, probably on the last lap, if Hazara doesn't get a penalty up to that point. But absolutely looking like it could be a very good race for Hazara.
Whoa! Sapala has a massive slide out of turn 10. Sorry to cut you off, but how has he kept that position? It looked like he had a massive slide in that corner. He went off the track and he's got 9 seconds of penalties now, so it's only getting worse for him. Justin's licking his lips in that helmet, wants to get past immediately, even though he has a penalty, but not as bad as Sapala. Meanwhile, what's Hazawa going to do now?
Yeah, I mean, probably stay behind, I would have thought, but I think Justin might be sizing up the overtake now. Absolutely, DRS wide open, using overtake there down the straight as much as possibly could, and that is Justin up to 3rd place. Now looking to probably chase after Hazara to see if you can overtake Marios. Most likely there was an overtake there, I believe. That was, if I could see, that was Lapa and Kahilu once again going to battle there. Just a 10.5 separating those two as they go down into turn number 3. Nothing worth doing into there, but these two keeping very close and battling for those fringes of those points. And I think it's going to be a battle that very much goes to the end of the race for those guys.
So the 5th through 8th are still clean, by the way. They have no penalties. So it's all about position there. 5 to go. And it'll be getting promoted up more because of Sabala. Yep, 5 to go here at the Lusail International Circuit. And it looks like Hazara is on his way to his first victory. Now I'm just going to check what his lap times are. Has he had any warnings? 1 warning, and that means he can allow 1 more strike before he has to keep it clean. So Hazara in a great position to take the win here, and just staying behind Marios. In fact, the nearest competitor without a penalty is Spicer, and he's in 5th. And just staying behind Marios, and that's all he really needs to do as he starts to build a massive gap between himself and Justin.
Yeah, now just 2.5 tenths separating Marios and Hazara in this race, with the battle behind between 3rd and 7th, no, 8th now, is a brilliant battle, and definitely one to keep a massive eye on. I'm noticing Ethan has been making quite significant inroads, kind of got the gap down for about 8 tenths of a second a couple of laps ago, now down to just under 4 tenths of a second on this particular lap. I've also noticed that the the McLaren of Fusilo has overtaken LRB and up into 11th, and already kind of catching the AlphaTauri of Lapa. If you're within 3 seconds of Kahilu, that will be 9th place for the McLaren, which could be a very good result for Fusilo in this race, given the lap 1 incident that was involving Fusilo. If you remember, was it Fusilo or was it Cortez? But the McLaren having a fairly good race and a very different strategy to get a fairly solid result up to this stage in the race. But Ethan now falling susceptible to Rafael as Sapala and Justin once again going to battle, but Sapala comes out on top on this occasion as Lapa also overtakes Kahilu there into turn number 1. I believe there was also Yannick overtaking Indy Reboot there as well into along the street and into turn number 1 as we're on lap number 27 of 29, and it's looking fairly certain for a win for Hazara, but don't count anyone out at this stage because anything could happen. Hazara and Marios could go to battle and it could cause all manner of chaos to break loose. But as we move through the laps here, lap number 27 of 29, and there's a penalty.
Ethan's got a penalty. Oh dear, it's getting very confusing now as the 2 leaders start to close up again, and Sapala is starting to close up, but he's got too many penalties. I've lost count on my hand, and now Hazara, it may as well just take the win on track if he's going to win the whole race. LRB's got a penalty. He's now got 6 seconds of penalties. And now Marios trying to run away, have some dignity despite the 3-second penalty. But Hazara just hurtling at him. I don't know why he should go to the move. He doesn't need to make the move. And he isn't. So he stayed right behind and only just building his gap between himself and M. Sapala, who's going to get demoted well down the order. At this rate, I can't even tell who's going to be on the podium. I know Hazara is probably going to win the race. Spicer as well. Spicer sitting there in 5th, but will be promoted to 2nd as it stands.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of movement definitely going to be happening as soon as people come across the checkered line. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to read out this race result, because it is absolutely going to be so chaotic to even remotely try and read out, because no one's in the position they're probably going to finish this race in, except probably Mohammed 34 seconds down off Indy Reboots there, just kind of having a quiet race. Probably just a good one to just kind of bed yourself into the car. I'm not be sure if they're actually in the session, but lap 28 of 29, we're moving on to that final lap here, but NLR M. Sapala, funnily enough, as you were talking about M. Sapala and the amount of penalties they had, I literally watched them take another track limit extension, not getting a penalty on that occasion, but it means they're probably not far off yet another penalty. But on to the final lap of the race. Is Hazara going to overtake on this track? Is it going to make my life ever so slightly easier?
Might as well.
Absolutely, might as well. Hazara into the race lead on track. You got to remember the driver behind Marios with a 3-second time penalty to be added to his time at the end of the race. You don't want any incident here, because that is going to be so costly for both drivers in this race. Absolutely, penalties would be handed out from the stewards if they were to have an incident at this stage in the race on the last lap. But looking down the grid, who is looking like they might be about to gain absolutely massively? Lapa is very close to the back of Kahilu. These two need to finish scrapping and sort their position out, because this is a battle for higher points. There are people ahead with bigger penalties, and this could mean that they get a better grid spot than they might have been thinking about. But you got to think about that that McLaren behind as well, trying to extend that gap to McLaren, but the McLaren on the softs could be sneaking a few points here. But as we come round through the final sector of the race here at Qatar, it has been a race of attrition. It has been a race of confusion if your name is Top G, but it is not a race of confusion for your name, for you, if you are Hazara, because you come across the line to take the victory here at Qatar, followed by, I believe it's going to be NLR Spicer, Raphael, then Marius Formula, then Riley McKay, finishing off a very good weekend for Alfa Romeo, NLR Justin, then Ethan and Fuselo. I did say there was a chance of points for McLaren, and yes, a 8th place there for Fuselo. That's gamble on soft. It works quite well, actually, in the end. Kahilu loses 8th place by 0.02 of a second. That is a fine margin indeed. That was would have been a photo finish if they were alongside each other. Penalties playing into that one. And Lapa there in 10th, taking the final points position. Can we just have a moment to look at the fact that M. Sapar, who was 3rd on the racetrack, has fallen all the way down to 12th. That is a long way down from where you cross the line. The penny for your thoughts. I mean, absolutely, like, if you're in the mindset there of a driver, you realise you've got a lot of penalties, but you forget the fine margins that you're under here. And with such fine margins, you've got, you know, so yeah, you've got to hustle, because if you're not, you're losing out quite heavily. But after as I die again, after 29 fun-filled laps and a cat that's just jumped off of my bed very noisily, Hazara takes the race win here at Qatar. It was definitely a difficult race, but when the driver behind you gets a penalty, it was pretty plain. When the driver in front of you, gets a penalty, it was pretty plain sailing from there. 2nd place there goes to Spicer and the Red Bull. Raphael, 3rd place for Alpine, and then 4th and 5th for Alfa Romeo, with Maris losing 3 places with that 3-second time penalty. Looking further down there, NLR Justin starting exactly where he started the race. That's 6th place for him. Then Ethan, Fuselo, Kahilu, and Lapa rounding out the top 10. The fastest lap there going to Griglig, And unfortunately, because they weren't quite in the top 10, no point being awarded there. But 16 points going away of Hazara after Qatar. And what a race that was. Some big gainers there as well. Raphael started the race 11th and finished 3rd on the podium. That is a absolutely mega points haul as well for Alfa Romeo. That was a monstrous points haul for that team, but absolutely a brilliant race for everyone involved. I think absolutely one that will be reflected upon.
Sorry.
No worries, go ahead.
I don't know, you must have sighed there if I interrupted, sorry.
All good. You didn't interrupt anything. I was literally just taking a breather, but I do wonder the conversations that will go on long into the night by these drivers. Top G complaining he had no force feedback, so that explains a lot, and that would make sense. He joined midway through qualifying, no force feedback, so some issues there for some drivers that probably prevented a good race. But
also mention one thing, Byron. Hazara now has the championship lead provisionally. He's on 26 points to Marios's 24.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be very interesting to see what kind of potential penalties and conversations that happen in the Stewards Inquiries channel, because I think there were certainly a few incidents, especially like the opening few laps of the race, that will certainly be looked upon, certainly be looked at by the stewards, I would expect, because no one really, well, people kind of tangled over each other, and it didn't necessarily always work in the best interests of the team or the drivers themselves. But I think one of the teams that I think can go out of this race weekend the happiest, I think, would probably have been Alfa Romeo. They were definitely very strong at times, although yes, your driver did cross the line second and then went all the way down to 4th and had a shot at potentially winning the race. You can't say it was a disappointing weekend for them, because they were still very good, very high up, and had another good race weekend. I mean, they took the win at the first race of the season, yes, on a technicality, but it doesn't, mean that they had a bad race. And looking at the constructors, it definitely puts them in a good spot, because both drivers got good points, unlike last race weekend where you had one driver start, one didn't start at all. So a good race for Alfa Romeo.
Indeed. Well, I don't think there's anything much more to cover other than the fact next week will be Hungary, the Hungaroring, funnily named. Been open since 1986, the first, I say, communist race in Formula One, because it was in 1986. The first race behind the Iron Curtain. And that will be the last race before a break week. Finally, we're getting a break week. I don't even think we had one last season. We are now.
Yeah, I mean, a well-deserved break absolutely for these drivers is on the horizon. But first, before we go to that, we have a very difficult circuit to tackle. Hungary, a very unforgiving circuit. You want to hope that you've got your force feedback for that race weekend if your name's Top G. So absolutely, a lot of drivers going away from this round happy, but some disappointed at what could have been a great weekend for them and didn't quite fruition. But we'll be back in a week's time. I'm here permanently, unfortunately for everyone watching at home, but I'll be here in a week's time once again with Logan as we get underway for Hungary. As always, thank you to GT Omega, but until next time, thank you very much. We have been casting for F3 for Season 35 of PlayStation. It's lights out and away we go in a week's time for Hungary. But bye for now.
Bye bye.